Digimon Ghost Game's 50th episode brought Meicoomon's champion form into Ghost Game with a super weird episode that showed us a shot of a high school boy and Meicrackmon sleeping together in bed. Yeah, it was unusual. I want to explain it all to you and discuss. We saw Meicoomon in Ghost Game several weeks back. Was this that same Meicoomon brought back and Digivolved or something else? There's also the Halloween special to talk about episode 49, which I missed last week because I was working on my top 10 darkest and scariest Digimon moments video. Check that out if you haven't already. It covers the darkest moments across Tamers, Adventure, 02, and of course Ghost Game, and it needs a bit of help. So give it a like and give it a share with your nostalgic Digimon friends. I will warn you though, this video has some of my spiciest Ghost Game takes ever, so hopefully you don't hate me after the end of this video. You all know that I'm a huge fan of Ghost Game, otherwise I wouldn't be covering it weekly, so don't take it personally, but in this video I have a couple things to get off my chest. Episode 49, the Crimson Harvest Festival. It's Halloween season, girls wearing witch costumes are being turned into real witches one by one, and the number of witches continues to grow. It seems a Digimon with some ulterior motive is behind all this. I'm of two minds with this being the second Halloween episode of the series. On one hand, it's kind of cool that a full calendar year has passed in real life and we're still getting a fun Digimon show weekly, but that also means a full calendar year has passed in the world of Digimon Ghost Game. We've of course seen the signs of time passing with the outfits changing to match the winter, spring, and summer seasons, but now we know for certain it's officially been a year since Hiro first met Gamamon. So what do we have to show for it? A full calendar year. Hiro's dad has been missing for over a year. We've known about Ghoulish Gamamon for a little under a year and have barely acknowledged it. We've learned about Black Tailmon 12 in-universe months after encountering it. We've got no new humans in the gang, aka no 6th Ranger situation. We're no closer to the digital world. We've got new friends, sure, with Ryudomon and Espimon and Airdramon, plus a few evolutions for each of our Mons, but nothing else has changed. Like the status quo is the exact same as where it was last year in terms of the show's true calendar year. I know you're kind of tired of hearing it, and I'm tired of having this debate where folks in the comments will say, well, what did you expect? It's an episodic show. They said it would be episodic. But it feels like I'm in a Groundhog Day time loop situation, being back for another Halloween in this universe with another misunderstood Digimon who was convinced of the error of their ways at the end of the 22 minutes. It certainly didn't make things easier that Witchmon's motivation was almost the exact same as Pumpkinmon's was last year. The enemy Digimon design is rad, and as others have mentioned, she's technically from a different franchise, an old virtual pet called Magical Witches that is also kind of the origin of Wizardmon. Check out Lost in Translation Mon's video, but essentially Witchmon and Wizardmon are creatures from Magical Witches that sort of dimension hopped into the digital world, so that's super fun. According to Angoramon, Witchmon is a Digimon that uses wind and water magic and strives to become a great mage. Magic energy is at its strongest on Halloween. Together with their combined witch energy, they want to create a world without humans just for witches. We get an army of witches in downtown Tokyo, mostly comprised of teenage girls who were previously in costumes but were transformed, and Witchmon is the army general. Our team goes undercover but is eventually detected for their lack of magical energy, and it's fighting time. Chaos Gamamon is the Gamamon of choice this week. It's Witchmon versus Chaos until Pumpkinmon shows up and fights for our team. You know, I was expressing criticism about this episode's similarity to the last Halloween special, but I will say I really enjoyed the element of continuity with Pumpkinmon showing back up on a Halloween episode. It's kind of funny to think he's been absolutely chilling for an entire year, but it's good to see him again, especially given the holiday. If we get a third Halloween episode a year from now, I hope Pumpkinmon comes back again. I mean, truthfully, I'd prefer the show be complete before October 2023, and there is no third Halloween special, but if there is, I'm expecting Pumpkinmon to make a return. Kano Voicemon overpowers Witchmon, the clock strikes midnight, and all the humans are turned back to normal. Quote, Witchmon's spell was broken and everything returned to normal. Is tragically the most Digimon Ghost Game quote ever. Like, that's such a Act 3, just underwhelming and nothing mattered. Quote, Pumpkinmon tells her he didn't need to turn them into witches to make friends. On one hand, it's nice that Pumpkinmon is the one delivering this message since he learned the same lesson in the past, but it's literally a copy-paste of last year's Halloween special, just swapping a jack-o'-lantern for a witch. Of course, the one story crumb that is being talked about is Witchmon asking Gamamon, hey, are you like the Dark Conqueror? Lost in Translation Mon made an amazing observation in the episode 49 discussion. Air was saying that although the English subtitles differ, the actual Japanese used here for Dark Conqueror was the same used as when Oboramon in episode 42 referred to Ghoulish Gamamon as the Jet Black Champion. So there is some consistency there in terms of some Digimon knowing about a mythical Dark Conqueror / Jet Black Champion. It's just that the Crunchyroll subtitles didn't pick up on the consistency and translated it differently between episodes, I guess. Kinda cool though. Overall, not my favorite episode, some frustration and mixed emotions with this being our second Halloween episode and it being somewhat of a cut and paste of the last year's. Since this is already a horror themed show, it wasn't even like a rare once a year thing to have a spooky episode. This was a cookie cutter Ghost Game episode. It just happened to be set on Halloween. I was much more optimistic about episode 50 based on the monsters we saw in its preview, so let's hop in. No sponsor this week, just you, me, and Digimon discussion. Episode 50, Payback. Hazakura Academy's first year, Riku is a long way from home and is having trouble fitting in when a Digimon takes an interest in him. However, things go awry when he has trouble reciprocating the Digimon's act of kindness. Not gonna lie, this kid Riku is such a generic Digimon Ghost Game male student classmate that I thought we already met him. The show is great with girl student designs in my opinion, but the fellas who aren't main characters often look just super bland. Puchimon keeps calling itself Pucci, and I always think it's fun when Digimon have nicknames for themselves. Riku doesn't recognize this strange being as a Digimon, but rather one of those advanced holograms like his dorm leader has, aka Jellymon. I kind of forgot how aware the dorm mates are of the advanced holograms, aka Jellymon and Kamamon. Hiro and Kyo did a great job convincing their dorm mates that it's just not a big deal that they all have hyper advanced little buddies. They're just AI holograms. The more I think about it, it's like Hiro, Kyo, and Riku now have Furbies or Tamagotchis or Poochies. The more little favors Puchimon does for Riku, it appears to be adding them to a little list of IOUs, like it's tracking everything that it's done nice to kind of one day get that reciprocated. Seemingly inspired by its apparent love of Riku, it eventually evolves into Meicrackmon of all Digimon and asks to be called Mei. The two of them sleeping together in bed is super weird considering it's no longer like sleeping with a tiny stuffed animal, but yeah, well, whatever this on screen is. It's also kind of odd that we had Meicoomon earlier in this series, and even with an ambiguous, unresolved ending with it being forgotten, here we're seemingly forgetting all about that Meicoomon too, since this Meicrackmon has no relation to that Meicoomon from several weeks back. Mei finally decides it wants to cash in what it's owed, and we get this great chase scene out the door and onto the streets with Kyo and Hiro plus their Digimon joining in. Mei is transported into the AR field and panics at the fact that neither Riku nor any other humans besides Hiro and Kyo are in this space. It starts fighting the boys, demanding they bring Riku back. Eventually they convince him that this is no way to make friends. Again, it's not unlike episode 49's thing with the Digimon not understanding how to make friends, and they insist that Riku just doesn't have the capability to repay Mei one for one in the way that it wants. So when they go back into the human world, Mei devises this plan to find Riku, confront him, says Mei will never deal with humans ever again. Riku, you should make friends with other humans. Mei really hates you. Then it walks away or jumps away. Hiro and Kyo show up. They say, there you are, you didn't submit a permission slip, and kind of joke about Riku going missing, I guess. And then Riku says, okay, let's go home, senpai. And I don't know, this was one of the most abrupt and underwhelming Ghost Game endings for me personally. After an episode that had a ton of potential, whereas 49 was very formulaic, I thought 50 was super weird in the best way possible, where I didn't know where we were going for the first 15 minutes. But those last 30 seconds, I understand that Meicrackmon decided the best thing it could do for Riku was sever their bond and try to help him connect to humans instead of relying on this Digimon. But it happened so incredibly fast, and Riku got over it immediately. Considering the reputation and popularity of the Meicrackmon character, I'm not super impressed with how it was used in this episode when it was all said and done. The last minute or so just left such a weird impression for me. So if it wasn't clear, I was not the biggest fan of either of these episodes, 49 or 50. I know some people think this isn't fair, but just for context and comparison, 49 and 50 of Digimon Adventure 2020 were the revival of Millenniummon episodes where Tai and Agumon were presumed dead for a bit, and the rest of the team tried to soldier on without them to stop Millenniummon's resurrection, but still failed. Then episode 50 was the epic kaiju battle between Godramon, Holy Dramon, and Millenniummon, plus the War Greymon Spirit Bomb. And keep in mind that series was criticized so much throughout its run for having very little story, for having no direction, no sense of momentum, but by episode 50 it had this amazing 3-parter and 17 episodes to go. We've had nothing close to the drama or intensity of Adventure 2020's episode 50 in Ghost Game yet, and it's been 50 weeks. In this series, episode 49 was a Halloween episode that did nothing new, and episode 50 was a unique but inconsequential appearance of a Digimon people love from Tri, with an incredibly abrupt ending as if the show stopped caring about this plot itself. And I understand people will say it's not fair to compare, but I'm sorry, I have to disagree. There's really no comparison that is more fair than comparing it to the second last Digimon series. It's not like I'm comparing it to Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Comparison is how we understand the world. You know, today is warmer than yesterday. This year was better than last year. So while I get it that it upsets hardcore Ghost Game defenders when I make comparisons, it is just impossible for me to feel anything but disappointed when by episode 50 of Adventure 2020 we had this incredibly climactic 3-parter and in Ghost Game we had a Halloween special and a Meicrackmon episode. You know, I hate to end the video on a bummer, but these were not great episodes for me. I'm happy for you to explain to me in the comments why you liked them, but please keep it civil. I don't hate the series. If you've watched my videos, you know I love Digimon and I've praised Ghost Game almost every week, but when I'm not thrilled with certain episodes, I'm not gonna lie to you and pretend it's all perfect and it's all chill. But at the end of the day, it's just my opinion on a cartoon from Japan, so it's not the end of the world. Thanks for watching. Hopefully things pick up in originality soon. Maybe when the Dual V Vital Bracelet B ships and we get those new characters, maybe they'll show up in the show. Do check out my top 10 darkest and scariest moments in Digimon video if you don't think I'm the worst after this video. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video.